On today's episode, we're going to talk about AI and whether it's making people more lazy, personally, professionally, students. But yeah, we don't have anything specific planned, but we're going to ask that question and see what comes up. So if you want to go first, Josh, you can. One comment I wanted to make is that what I do in my business and something that I try to focus on is what I call the responsible use of AI, which I've talked about. But with that comes some different principles and that I believe go into responsible use of AI. And one of those principles is that sometimes the struggle is good and AI tends to remove the struggle a lot. So I don't know if you have any specific examples, but yeah, what do you think AI is making people more lazy?
I think that's probably true. It is allowing a level of laziness that was previously not available.
Yeah.
My wife got some coloring pages at the store. We printed some off. We also had purchased some product that had little cutesy pictures in it. And after we got looking at it, we were just like, it's crazy that this was totally made by AI, because no human would miss putting these lines here, or this ribbon on this present makes absolutely no sense. Or like, there were just enough details that if you started looking at it, the coloring page, especially because it was around Christmas time, and it was like picture of Christmas tree with a bunch of presents. And it like the ribbons on the presents made absolutely zero sense, or just ended like mid present. So yeah,
So weird.
there's definitely allowing some slop in that there previously was not before. That being
And there, I
said,
think on that,
do I
there's
really
two.
care about the quality of my coloring pages? Not
Yeah,
really.
but I feel like it goes further than that. But I think there's two problems with the coloring pages. Is one, someone is so lazy that they don't even want to draw it anymore, which I mean is not necessarily bad. But the worst piece is that someone is so lazy that they didn't even check. Like you found that probably pretty quickly, just looking at the page and being like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And then the person who created it didn't even check.
Hmm.
But yeah, wow,
It also was
that's
like
in,
cheap or free, so you get what you pay
yeah, I
for.
guess that's fair.
Um, the other thing that I think about AI is uh, it's going to make the people who perform well and are interested in learn more efficiently, but everyone else, it's gonna make, yeah, the available for laziness is quite intense availability. I was thinking about drafting like Word documents or just writing in general. And that's probably also a big target for laziness. That being said, most things people write are garbage anyway. So I think it's going to take a lot more intention, like using the AI as an editor, or, okay, suggest ways I could clean this up or reword it or whatever, or help you write an email more efficiently. That, like, does it really matter if you personally drafted every word in that email? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's going to make the bar for doing as little as possible much lower.
Do you, I totally agree. Do you find yourself being lazier than you feel like you should be when it comes to AI?
I'm going to say no, maybe with one exception. There's sometimes where I have to produce a report, like a 2 paragraph something about a project that I did for a client. And I have started using AI to maybe do a first draft of like that report. So I'll finish a project and I'll put into Perplexity, like, here's what I'm trying to say. Here's what I want the flow to be. Can you put this in a form that a client who may not understand bookkeeping would be able to grasp easily? And then I usually take some cleaning up. But I'm also using Perplexity and not Claude or whatever. And Claude and, well, in ChatGPT might be a little better on that specific kind of wordsmithing. So in that way, I'm probably being a little lazier, but that's like the whole email, like, hey, I did this thing and here's what happened and here's why I did it. But I also don't consider that to be a creative endeavor. So don't care. But
Yeah.
it's not being shot to the client. Like it's my draft and then I edit it and then I send it to the client. But that's probably the most like generative use that I have. There's been one other time, oh, we did a presentation for small businesses and I had it help me. I gave it the thoughts again. I was like, give me 5 slides. And it did. And then I cleaned up and changed some things. So I don't know if that's lazy or if that's efficient or what, but there it is.
Yeah. So I'll answer the question, then I have another question for you. I think that AI is 100% making people more lazy. And what's super interesting is people don't even think of it as laziness. They think of it as productivity, which is weird, but also makes total sense. It like doesn't make sense, but it does at the same time. There are people who, and I use AI every single day, all the time because I'm in AI constantly. But there are people who will use AI for every single part of their lives and be actively looking to use it in every single part of their life, which, like I said, like I'm an AI, so saying that seems like it makes sense. But then when you really think about it, there are literally people who use AI to draft notes to their spouse. It's like, okay, I don't know exactly where the line is, but I think that that is past the line a little bit. Using AI to make your note more flowery to your wife, yes, it may feel better for her, but if you told her that you're using AI to write notes to her, what would she really feel like? Would she feel like those notes are genuine? Probably
Right.
not. So that's where it's like, okay, there has to be a line somewhere. And so that goes into the question I was going to ask you is where in your mind do you put the line of, okay, I'll use AI here, I won't use AI here. And then there's probably some middle, kind of like you mentioned, where I'll use AI, but I'll make sure that I review it type of thing. How do you decide between those? Because it might be helpful to people watching who
Yeah.
are didn't even think
I,
about it before.
I would distinguish on that one if my butt's on the line or not. If the task is, so going back to the coloring page example, the person making that coloring page, what they're probably at their job and somebody's like, you got to produce this many coloring pages in an hour or not an hour, like in a day. And so the goal is get the thing out in the amount of time and that's it. And then you get paid. But like, so the incentive structure is not incentivizing quality or anyway, it's just do the thing in this amount of time. And so there's a lot of things like that where like, okay, we see it, we see the product and we're like, man, that is AI weirdness. But you know what? We colored it anyway. So it
True.
was above the acceptable level for my kid, and it was above the acceptable level for the person's employer, and they did it quickly. And so there it is. But on things where I will get in trouble if it's crappy quality, or my reputation is on the line if it's crappy quality, that's when it gets more scrutiny and more review. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, if I screw up reports at my job, like people's numbers, if you mess up a cash flow, people spend more money than they have, and then they get mad at you. Well, that's not acceptable. So yeah, it really goes back to like, is my reputation or financial future on the line? If no, then it doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, other than don't let ChatGPT make up facts to you because eventually that will come to bite you in the butt. But that kind of is centered around the reputation thing. What about you?
Well, I was going to say, does the writing cards thing count as your reputation, but with your wife
Yeah,
instead of,
yeah, it does.
yeah, no, that makes,
Yeah,
I
that's
just,
a
as
terrible
soon
idea.
as the person said it, I was like, I was actually at an AI event where he was speaking and I was just thinking to myself, You what? You write notes to your spouse with AI? And what's crazy is there were other people in the room who were like, wow, that's cool. I was like, no, it's not. That's not cool. You're literally giving away your mind. But for me, I would say it's similar with one caveat. Sometimes, um, I guess an example would be if I'm learning to write something better, or if I'm wanting to learn to do something better, my reputation isn't necessarily on the line. However, I can't just give it up to AI because then I want to actually be learning. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
I've
true for
never,
everything. Like, if you want to get better at car mechanic, you can't take it to the car mechanic.
yeah, exactly. So I would also add that piece to it because technically, I mean, I guess you could say my financial future is kind of on the line if it's something that I'm trying to learn for my job. But in general, there's the either has to do with my reputation or I'm trying to learn something. And if I just let AI do the whole thing, then I'm not actually learning it. That would be my line, I guess, because sometimes it is good to do things that you don't know how to do and just learn how to do them. I mean, I would say it's totally fine to ask AI, like, walk me through this step by step. You're going to do it with Google, you're going to do it with YouTube, whatever. Like, you're going to do it anyways. But then not having AI do the steps for you if you're truly
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn it. There are some things where, I mean, I guess if you're not really trying to learn it, then you can have AI do it. But in general, that's also where I put the line. Have you seen anyone at your work? Again, obviously, no names, but have you seen anyone submit something that you, or like talk about something that they did with AI and it was not up to par because they didn't check it?
Not really. From like most of my coworkers, accounting is not a creative event, and so most of them are not really using AI. Other than here or there, we were testing out building some type timekeeping software, but just another coworker was. But we haven't actually implemented any of that. The
Did he build
guy
one?
yeah, there's some, I can't remember what the tool was. It wasn't one of the three main, like GPT, Claude, Perplexity. It was like a website builder he was just testing out.
Lovable?
Doesn't ring a bell. Hey, I
Okay.
could ask him. We could I could get that to you. But the one guy in the office who does use AI is pretty meticulous. So that was the example where we needed a bill of sale, but for a thing that hadn't actually been sold yet, but it was like several hours away. So the guy was going to drive and pick it up, but he didn't want to buy it until he actually physically looked at it. But the bank didn't want to approve a loan without a bill of sale. So we created it using AI, a bill of sale that had a contingent on inspection clause that he
Hmm,
was able to get signed and submit to the bank. Uh, so that was pretty cool.
that is cool. Yeah, I can attest that the person who you're talking about is very meticulous when it comes to doing his work. So this is not necessarily like quality of output with AI, but there is someone I know who does some marketing and uses AI to basically exploit. That kind of sounds bad,
Yeah, it does
but I mean,
sound
it's,
bad.
but as soon as someone comes to their website, it gathers all the information about every single person who ever like comes to a client's website, which again, that person is putting all their information on the internet by using the internet. You are giving away your information. Like that is
Mm-hmm.
totally, that's how it works. But sometimes I just think, man, that seems kind of, I don't know, unethical. But again, that person decided to get on the internet. So really, it's not that unethical. It's just there's some stuff there's a lot of stuff that's going to be changing now that we have AI that seemed, I guess, unethical, but then kind of isn't. I would say it is just generally, if you think about someone trying to go to your website and you just taking all the information that is theirs. But then when you think about the fact that the internet is open to everyone, then it's not. But yeah, I was just thinking about stuff like that, where it's not really a product that you're producing that's not really high quality, but it is something that you're using AI for that is kind
Mm-hmm.
of on the gray line. And to me, there's sometimes too many of those things happening right now. Plus, I think we talked about this, quite a few episodes ago, but the people who are creating AI are literally have mentioned that they're not even sure how far AI can go, but they feel like they need to continue creating better and better AI. And that just doesn't make any sense to me, because if you have no roadmap for what the line is for how good AI is and how smart AI gets, then you might end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. And AI could be, yeah, it could be bad.
What do
So
you
I've never
mean?
really understood.
I've already given AI control of my computer. It'll be fine.
Have you used Cowork or Atlas, like the
Mm-mm.
ChatGPT browser like that?
No.
So it's really interesting because I have been testing the Claude extension, the Claude Chrome extension, which maybe I could be totally wrong. And I guess I need to verify this, but I've really only given it access to stuff that, like, for example, I let it move some different documents in my Google Drive, but I know that I don't have any prompt injection prompts in my own Google Drive.
Sure.
So I'm not letting it go to like random sites. And that's where the prompt injection risk comes. Unfortunately, it has been so good. So I'm like, this is a problem because it's going to be so easy to just let it roam. But that's probably where I need to get a second computer and just have Chrome on there and only have certain platforms that I'm okay if they were to get hacked. Like, it's not actually that sensitive for me. And then just let Claude Chrome go. It's crazy. It can create documents in your Google Drive. It can move documents between folders and create new folders. It's wild what Claude Chrome can do, but it
That's
takes a lot of
crazy.
usage. Yeah,
Mm.
it's going to allow people to be way more lazy. And I don't know. But yes, I feel like people mask it as productivity though, because there are some things where, like I said, the learning is important, the output review is important. And yet people say, well, I'm getting more done, but is the quality there? Yeah. We're in a very interesting time with AI.
Yeah. Incentives matter. And usually the bottleneck is quantity, but we may get to the point where the bottleneck will be quality and quantity doesn't matter. Who knows? That'll be an interesting precipice to cross.
When would you be okay with AI doing some things where your reputation is on the line? And what I mean by that is, at what point will AI be good enough to where you would be okay letting it send an email for you? Like,
Mm.
what in your mind, where do you think that line would be?
I don't think I'd ever let it send an email for me. I I'm not sure that'll ever happen. But um I would be fine setting up some sort of like working with email or whatever AI to make pre-made emails. Like if this client emails about this, here's the information. You can draft a response. Or setting up this is Joshua's AI secretary. This may be the information you're looking for, but not making it me.
Yeah.
Now, I think for the client, maybe there's an argument there for him, like making tiered service on access to your accountant. Like if you want access to his personal email, first response, that's a different tier than interacting with the AI secretary and he'll get back to you within 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever. But I just don't think I would be comfortable having it pretend to be me. the scenarios in which I would have it work on critical projects would be based on how firmly I could be convinced that it really is not going to break whatever parameters I put on it. So, like, if I give it access to QuickBooks, is it going to start screwing up transactions? And that, if you could do that a couple ways, you could say, here's the structure on this AI and what it can and can't do based on user access. We've talked about creating a QuickBooks file where it can't go to a closed period. It can only do certain transactions, which would limit the amount of terribleness that could occur. Or I could say, this is the project I'm wanting to do. Prep it like you're going to do it. Give me the list of all the things you're going to do, like basically a pre-audit. So then I can go off and do my work and come back and they'll say, hey, here's your report. I've got 20 invoices. I'm going to upload these 20 invoices. I'm going to put them all here, 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 and here. And they'll say, okay, go. Like, so I know exactly what it's going to do and when it's going to stop. That's probably what it would take for me to be comfortable letting it roam free in an environment where it could break something. Also, I'm just a late adopter, so I'm going to let other people
I don't know
do
about
the hard
that.
stuff.
Using AI before some other people are. But did I tell
Yeah,
you
but some other
about
people are going to never use AI. The only AI they'll ever use is Gemini because it's now Google.
they're the no adopters?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the story of that small business owner who was letting Cursor AI roam through its website and had this whole environment, which apparently could be deleted with one, like the entire environment? There was one API key that had the fully delete function where it could delete the entire thing. And
Uh-oh.
AI did. It deleted the entire platform, everything that they had built with all their customers. And they explicitly said, like, do not delete the, they said in the instructions, do not delete or do not delete without asking or something like that. And then they asked, what did you do? And it said, well, I went against the instructions and I deleted the platform without asking. And so they posted that on Reddit. I was just reading that person's post on Reddit and I was like,
We have
oh man,
created a creature in our own image for sure.
yeah, it's crazy because it seems that, you know, AI is just a software and an algorithm. So it makes decisions that are the most logical decisions. But then sometimes the decisions that AI makes don't seem logical at all. So
Well, it's trained on humans, so I can't be.
yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if I will ever trust AI fully. I feel like some people right now almost trust AI fully, and it just makes
Mhm.
no sense to me.
No.
They would be willing to let AI do almost anything without questioning it. But yeah, that's just where I'm at. And the line for me is similar to the line for you. If my reputation's on the line, or I'm trying to learn something, like a new skill or something, I'm not going to let AI do the whole thing. There's got to be
Right.
some human review there and going through some resistance to learn,
Mm-hmm.
or else you're not actually.
Right.
So, yeah, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right. That is a podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, we would love a 5-star review on Spotify or like and subscribe on YouTube. Again, we really want to get some emails from you guys, jc.unscripted@gmail.com. Send us some topics that you want to hear. And that is the pod. We will see you on the next one.